Morning, gentlemen. How's everyone? Hope everyone's well. Um, what do you think of the new color profile? I like to try a different one out every week if I can. Let me know, please, if the audio or anything's a little bit off. And another thing, I'm expecting a package. We're still in lockdown here in Melbourne, so everything's very much caged up. So if I see the delivery guy walk past my window, I'll just hit the BRB for about 30 seconds, but I won't be going anywhere. If you guys have any questions, make sure you highlight them with emojis, make them stand out in the feed so I can quickly see them, because we tend to get a few people. Right now we've got about 70. It tends to get about into the mid-hundreds most times, so make your questions stand out, guys. And I'll start by going through a couple of nice comments relating to my last two videos, which was centered around the idea of why relationships get harder as you get older, as you get to know yourself. The window becomes smaller. Alex H actually said, men are not worried about dying alone. Men are worried about living miserably. And that, I think, is fairly true. It needs to kind of make sense. I know for me, guys in past generations have reflected this as well. They pursue women till they've caught them and, call us crazy, but they assume the woman will stay caught. There's a saying, once you catch a bus, you don't keep running. Questions, let's see. Alfonso asks, what camera setup are you using? It's always crystal clear, Ultra HD. I'm using the Panasonic GH5 with a Leica 12mm 1.4. I think it's at 1.4. Should be at 1.4. With a variable ND, so I can quickly turn the brightness up and down without affecting anything else in the picture. I hope you guys liked the last couple of videos. I haven't really heard many guys talking about it, at least not in that way. At least not older guys, anyway. Not that there's many older guys left in the manosphere. And if they are, most are still talking from the standpoint of women, not from what guys think about themselves in relation to women and the world. Hey, Kangaroo Boxer, glad you could make it even for a short time. Ted says, if I was in the US, who would I vote for and why? I'm not following the elections. They don't interest me as much as they interest everyone else. But between the two, for the little I have seen, I would probably choose the guy beginning with T. But, they don't, neither of them are anything I'd choose if there was, somebody better. But it's kind of choosing the best out of what's there, I suppose. Pound Dog says, I wish dating apps would go away, but I don't think they are anytime soon. Yeah, no. They're here to stay for it's almost the way it's done. Someone actually, a few people have actually said there's no alternative now. People don't date anymore. And one of the comments I'll bring up, I think will say as much. Christopher says, is it hard to date when you're married? Probably not from what I've seen. I've been on one or two dates where I'm pretty sure the female was married, but what they do on their dating profiles, they'll say they're separated. So you can't go to their home, You got to stay away from the topic. It's all hush hush. It's all either your place or you go out for a coffee or something. So there's a lot of covert sort of dating and getting together. A lot of people lying. Morning Red Pill Mentor. How you going? Kangaroo Boxer asks, how do you regain the urge to maintain your physical fitness and health once you've lost it, after continuing to lose it, after gaining it over and over? Yeah, again, for me, it's about health. For a lot of guys, they only stayed healthy in relation to women. Mine was always for myself. I was very aware that I was the only person that I could count on in the end, that it was a guarantee I would be there for myself. So treating myself well, that was 100% given, because women can leave, jobs can leave, even things that don't mean to leave. People can die, life can change, but you'll always be there or you won't. So you're better off taking care of this flesh bag that you're walking around with. David says, last couple of videos were spot on. After 20 odd relationships, I am amazed what I put up with. Me too. I mean, some people learn quickly. Everyone's made up differently. You know, I've heard, and hats off to them. I've spoken to one or two people on Discord that I talk to frequently. Younger guys, they experience something once, no more than twice, and you know that pattern's enough. They've charted a different course in life. Call it my intellectual curiosity. I always wanted to make sure that it was exactly what I suspected it to be, not just once or twice. I know that in whenever I'd break up from a serious relationship, I had the sense that I didn't want to just throw something away I'd, you know, obviously valued for so long. I want to make sure that I exhaust every avenue and then leave. Obviously, if the person's treating you badly, that's very obvious. But most times it's not that complicated. You don't have like a screaming psycho throwing things at you. You know, most times it's this kind of subtle pain, subtle malaise, and trying to find every way to make sure it actually is what it is to satisfy you, so that you know 100%. That's been me, but unfortunately, a lot of times I've stayed longer than I should. Hats off to guys who can pull that band-aid off very quickly. Remember, highlight your questions, guys. Alex says, the older I get, the more standards I have for women. In my 20s, I was open to dating single mothers. Now I wouldn't even sleep with one. It's too risky in many ways. Okay, I don't see many questions. Let's get another comment. Boffin says, most simply continue in the belief that acquiring quote-unquote relationships is an end in itself. More is better. Self-reflection has always been in short supply, and our hyper-stimulated world does nothing to foster introspection. Yeah, I agree. Intelligence is taboo. Intelligence is patriarchy, apparently. He continues, as I've grown older, I've come to believe that most people spend much of their life trying to find ways to avoid themselves. Yes. It can be scary, especially if you kind of have an instinct that there's nothing there, that you need stuff, people, distractions to keep you going. Continues, how miserable is the person who is forced to live with someone they don't know and don't like? Yeah, that to me is scary. Living in misery. I'd rather be free and have days of misery here and there that I can always change, because I have no one to answer to but me at the end of the day. It's not that I don't care about people and I don't have people in my life that I care about and want to spend time with, but it's that fair cooperation. I've been raised with it. That side of the force is strong with me. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate the donation. Don't know. It's the way my hardware is made. I've come to accept that it's more hardware than software, figuratively speaking, at this point, for me anyway. That's why, in passing, I mentioned the neuroplasticity in my second previous video. Not that I know too much about it. Fungus says, is it bad to admit you're not a monk around here? I'm definitely not cohabitating or cranking out kids. No, I've never been a monk myself, but I've had very hard limits with women. I've got a high degree of self-preservation. Within that, I like what I like. I like enjoying parts of my life with or without women, but I have very hard ones where I know that if I cross them, everything I enjoy would be ruined and smashed. Someone mentioned before the colors are popping. Are they a bit too bright or rich? This is the actual color profile I was using in the second last video. Oh, okay. More questions now. They've come up. The stream has jumped. It's caught up. Delta Dan, if you catch feelings easy, then you are better off getting a dog in 2020. Yep. Well, I think in a lot of ways, the lockdowns are making it easier for men to avoid those things if they do catch feelings very easily. And I'm just a yes person when it comes to women, simply because it's very hard to even get the first step in. So in that way, it's a benefit, I think, in the dating pool, in the dating market. Time in a Bottle says, not having children hurt more than never married and the absence of dating. Yeah, everyone's built differently. I never had that chip. Children have always been a neutrality for me. Don't dislike them at all. I enjoy being around most kids, except when they're screaming. But I think that's common with everyone. You have more tolerance with your own, but they've never been anything I've driven for. Karuya says, is there even a relationship that is not too risky anyway? Not really. I think Norma Mailer said there is no such thing as safe sex. I think that's true. Eric, thanks for the super chat. He says, with his donation, thoughts on why it seems like every woman owns a dog. Constant emotional support. Yes. I think especially today, it's not just cats, dogs. I think there were more women with cats before because there were more men in women's lives, dating, marriage, so forth. That's it's drifted away. And I think women are becoming more and more common with dogs because it's less and less common for them to have a man in their life. And that dog reflects a man more You know, it's the reason why men generally enjoy dogs more than cats. It's because it reflects what we find valuable. You know, once you bond with the dog, it stays that dog. It stays loyal. It stays trained the way it was trained in the first year or so. The nature of the dogs, you and the dog are always on the same page. Your dog doesn't change into another kind of dog or a different personality. You know, all of its personality features, the way you know it, is baked in. It doesn't change, really. And I think women now are liking dogs as a male substitute because there's that male characteristic about dogs, the loyalty. Khaled asks an interesting question. Do you think you have to kill the part of you that wants to be loved? That's an interesting question. The naive part, that the way you loved previously, I think yes. It's connected to severing the umbilical cord to mother. Trying to get a woman to love you like your mother did, or to love you in a way that your mother never did. You know, that unconditional, she loves me just for me. That, the naive way of thinking that women will love you, or the need to be loved. We need to sever that, I think. And then there's that rational, reciprocal, fair. You know, I give this, but they don't. That's not fair. You know, it becomes easy because it's given back and forth. Again, I'll keep repeating it. Look at the same way you and your friends interact. The fairness, the giving, and then they give, and you give. It's always wanting to be good to the other. The female male one, a lot of times, it's she takes, you give. It used to be that we could get along with that dynamic in the past when men had respect and at least they got something back. As I said, I've never had the problem growing up because I was the way I was raised, and generally men, because we don't need much to be satisfied, is we're happy to give 80%, just give us 20 back. But now men barely get, 1 to 5% back. It's so obvious how little we get back, and depending on how little we ask for generally as men. Again, I know there's a-hole men out there, but generally, that's what happens. Oh, we've got 203 viewers at the moment. Welcome aboard, everyone. Okay, I'll try and get through these questions and not linger around too long on any one. Oh yes, Edson, guys, hit the like so more people get in. Is that what happens? Yeah, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Help me out. Feral Male asks, it took me a while to accept that pattern. In the dark ages, you tended to tell yourself it was your own fault. This was backed up by friends and family. Yes, everyone tells you it's your fault. Your guys feel like, they think that being able to carry weight is admirable. Red Pill Mentor actually made a good video. I check it out. He talks about how this stoic mindset, which there's nothing wrong about, but if you think about it incorrectly, the stoic mindset, which is predicated on being able to endure hardships, in today's time, if you've got a blind spot, that could match really well, unfortunately, with a narcissist or a woman that's a real piece of work where all she does is take. Because if you operate in the stoic mindset of, I feel pride with the amount I can take, how much I can have on my shoulders, how much pain I can endure, like one of my the stoics that I admire, then that's a great match for a woman that's going to make you endure a lot. So it's something to keep an eye on. Feral Male says, maybe young guys see the pattern earlier as the narrative has changed. Yet the internet, dating has changed. Everything has changed to make it obvious what human beings are at their worst when they're completely free to act by their virtue or lack thereof We've shown what we're like and how easily we're led. Delta Dan, most men really actually want a stable family unit, but we know that it's dying hope in 2020 and beyond. Yeah, most guys do. Real name's not given. Why is dating seen as social proof? Uh, Basically, if we don't date and mate, we don't exist. It's kind of really sort of at a deep level. Nothing really, when you think about it, thanks for the donation, Mr. Highway. When you think about it, having children from a biological perspective, doing your part, the reason why you're here is to reproduce, when everything else is, your particular desires and your subjective, you could be Tolstoy or Elon Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk is helping society as a whole in greater ways, but generally, once you've had kids, that's your purpose. After that, little else matters, only subjectively to yourself when things are said and done. I mean, even Elon Musk would stop doing what he's doing if he didn't get something from it personally, if all his efforts were for nothing. So the result can be for society, but again, if he wasn't getting anywhere, wasn't getting anything back, if he wasn't getting success, money, the ability to do more, and he kept getting blocked, then he would probably see his limits as well, in the same way that men are seeing their limits with dating and reproduction. Mr. Highway asks, I'm so sick of people asking, aren't you afraid of being alone? Yeah, so am I. Why is everyone so afraid of being alone? It's like watching a bird that won't fly because it's afraid of heights. So it just sits there. I think it's more their fears they're projecting onto you. Thanks for the donation, Mr. Hancock. They're saying it to you because they're afraid. Think about it. If you notice something with somebody, someone doesn't look crossing the road, or someone, whatever it is, they do something that you notice there's a danger, it's because you're aware of the danger. You're worried about that danger. So it's them, it's not you. The fact that they think about that. It's funny that those same people won't say, oh, she's crazy. I wouldn't. They would rather say, pick anyone. It's better to just pick anyone and have a hard life. Because, all women are like that, than being alone. And it comes more from a female standpoint. I think women hate being alone, fear it more than men do. You don't hear very many women going hunting or fishing or living alone in the cabins or, going monk. Life is lived socially for women. And because, throughout history, the 80-20 rule, or, most of the Chads get women and most of the other men get left behind, men have learned in their DNA to be okay without women, with being on their own, with having friends at the very least, or at least having a dog. But I'm sick of that. Aren't you afraid of being alone? It's laughable now. It's them. It's not you. If you're not afraid and they keep saying it and it's starting to irritate you, it's like it's like someone asking me, "You're afraid to be gay?" I'm not. That's probably a bad analogy. That doesn't actually mean that they're afraid to be gay, but you know what I mean. It's them. If they're always obsessed with it or think it's such a big fear, then oh, that jumped. Okay, let me just skim down. Edson, has hookup culture replaced dating? I think so. More and more. Nice girl, one of my sister's friends in her 20s, she's in her late 20s. She has not had a relationship or boyfriend. She's had plenty of hookups. She's never had a relationship, and it's quite normal. We were surprised. She kind of laughs and thinks, well, yeah, it's the same with all my friends. I don't feel odd at all. I think it really is. I've actually noticed that the last few years, sometimes on dates, depending on the age of the woman, you can tell they find you odd because you're not ready to jump in bed straight away. To them, it's like saying you want to go grab a coffee. Pound dog, yeah, these dog mums really think their mother's absolutely crazy. Yeah, so much so that the dog really replaces children in many ways. I know that with my ex, as soon as she got the dog, I disappeared from view in the relationships. Much like you hear men, as soon as the baby comes in, they disappear. Everything else, the past relationship's gone. The intimacy, the focus on the two of you being the center of it's gone. My ex had the same thing when she got the dog. That was the center of her world. Jonas, I think most women prefer cats because they demand less responsibility. Yes, although, as the previous comment, I've noticed more and more women being dog friendly, and I really think it's due to men disappearing from the environment more, and it's somehow a replacement for that male security, that dependability. The dog won't change; it'll be there, and the woman can change all she wants. Loyalty. Excuse me. All right. If I miss some of your questions, guys, I apologize. I'm trying to skim through. We've got about 250 people here. It's a lot of questions, so please make your questions stand out. Yep, hit the like button, gents. Quasi-Mandias, how are you, man? Over, question mark, no. Only really change. Men need new models, and that's lacking. Relating can be approached a myriad of ways. I'm happy with any if the responsibility is reciprocated fair and adult. Awesome. I've seen it change from guys I've talked to. The brief times in the last couple of years I've dated, I've really noticed that all the youth tell me in their 20s, more and more empirically, I just hear that dating is for the past generation. They kind of laugh. It's like dating. But I agree with yourself. Like I can't hook up. I don't like spinning plates. I don't like making my life the focus of female strangers over and over and over again. It takes up too much time. As was said previously, once I've run, if I run and catch a bus, I don't want to keep on running. Alpha Dog, welcome. Burley, thanks for hitting the like button. We've gone high. He asks, how do you think hookup culture in today's society affects relationships in 5 to 10 years? The thing is how much the individual can consciously say, I'm tired of this BS, and date more to how they want their life to turn out. Yeah, it's a big candy store that you can get diabetes with, but over and over again gorging yourself, like for your own health as a male, for your own health, how much can you do it? What kind of diet do you have in the hookup culture? Like if you respect yourself and your health. Mr. Highway, thanks for the donation. His question is, I think dating is over. I don't even see dating rom-com movies coming out. That's very true. That's a good point. even rom-com movies have died. There was those family values of the TV shows that were on. And yes, I know Netflix and the internet now has kind of pushed those out of the way. But have you noticed only the drama of reality TV style Big Brother shows where people are sleeping around and betraying each other, and, you know, Braveheart music in the background to elevate the emotions, and we're on the edge all the time. We don't feel secure in these social interactions that we watch. Our social lives are starting to mimic it. It's like quick. It's almost like watching Big Brother and reality TV in between commercial breaks. We go on dates, there's a commercial break. We go on another date. Our lives are so episodic, there's no stability. And I think a lot of our anxieties generally in life and relating to people comes from that. Alpha Dog, thanks very much for the super chat. Just wanted to say hi. Hi, Alpha Dog. Which collab are you guys talking about, Burlier? Between RPMH. Who's that? Let's go for another comment from one of the videos. Joe B said, one thing hit me hard, human. With all the precise... Oh, this was on my last video, I think. No, the second last one. With all the precise negative descriptions of women you've had so far, you are still able to get to self-reflection. Who would want to live with me? Never ever in my whole life I have heard this from a woman, that she might be unbearable to live with. Now, I put that on not to sort of big note myself. I don't think I'm anything that special. But just to kind of highlight how many women say sorry. And again, I'm not saying it that you're perfect and women are awful, you're an angel, they're a villain. It's to be aware of fair reciprocity in a relationship. In the same way with your friends. Are your friends humble? Do they say, I'll get this one? No, you're wrong. Sorry, no, I'm right. I'm wrong, you're right. There's kind of a humility there. There's taking care of each other, listening to each other. It's not a one-way street. How many times, I mean, the cliche of women never saying they're wrong, never apologizing and so forth. They're things to keep an eye on, because they're an important central relationship, or should be in your life, I think, if you want any kind of stability. If you just say, oh, women are like that, they never apologize, they're always right. I always pick these kind of women because they're the only kind of women around. It's like, no. Your romantic relationships, apart from like the kind of fine-tuned dials of, you know, sex and sort of the global intimacy of, if you would build a life together, and so, because you spend so much time together, if you want to have kids and so forth. Aside from that, the foundations of friendship and trust are very similar to a best friend and your family, that kind of stability. And they don't have to put up with all that other garbage. So that's why I put it there. Like, if there's a person who's always right, who's always using you, who's always emptying your tank, and you're always depleted, there's no cooperation, there's no tennis match there, don't just say that's the way it is. You don't go to a job that you hate, you're not getting paid, your boss is putting his boot on your neck every time you step in the door. You're stressed, you're taking antidepressants, and you need to run to the shed to have a little bit of time, a semblance of reality that seems like it makes sense. Don't live that life. Look for good people, or be a good person yourself so you can be with yourself. Like, whether it's you or other people, be with good people. Quasimandias says, do most guys really want a stable family unit rather than a lifetime of, say, hot 2-year relationships? I don't know these days. I think there's twofold. That's all that's on offer. And generally men tend to be downstream from whatever women want, because they're the gatekeepers of sex. We get what we're given. The structural way in which relating to women sort of is happening today, and it tends to just be hooking up. Thanks, Delta Dan, for the super chat. In some sense, I'd agree. I don't think not that they want it. I think men want stability and things to make sense more than women do. I tend to think women want a change and excitement much more than men because, it's easy to want that when you never have to be responsible for it. But yeah, the environment's changed. I don't know if I've actually got the comment here, but I remember someone saying that when I'm talking about this stuff, the way I grew up, and I've always wanted stability. I don't like dating multiple women. For me, it's just a waste of my time. I've got better things to do. A guy once commented and said, "Well, do we have any other choice these days?" And I'd have to agree. What choice do men have? It's hookup culture or play your Xbox and porn, but then a porn is episodic too. See, the act of sex was always episodic, but the roots of the person you're embedded with tended to be long term. Now everything is episodic. This is I think the broader existential thing that's happening is no one can root themselves anymore psychologically in place in the real world with anyone or anything. Jobs, products, cars, relationships, everything leaves before it's even begun, before you've had a chance to experience enough time to love anything. Like, I love my camera. Like, it's starting to become that objects you can love more because they stick around and they don't change. You can rely on them. You can trust them. It's really sad. I wish it wasn't that way. I'm not being determinist, but whoa, this has jumped. Okay, sorry guys. All right. Okay, Harry, thank you for the super chat. His question is, got my army issue birth control glasses, much like yours, came in useful avoiding the local thoughts back in the day. Yeah, don't discount just the very individual aspect of sort of how you're particularly wired, you know. Yeah, we're males, we're animals, we're human beings. There's very little free will, but the degree to which you have it is your particular sort of wiring, the limits you want to make to sort of, if you value things in your life, the rational thing is set these things in place as barriers that you won't let yourself go beyond to keep the tranquility of your life and to keep the adventure open and the enjoyment, but as well to keep things coming in that can ruin that. Because a lot of the world wants to take without giving anything in reciprocity. JW, what are your thoughts on the dating coach, Matt Cross? Never heard of him. From the 33 Secrets, never heard of it. AKA Alpha Male Secrets, never heard of him. I don't really watch the pickup artists, alpha bro kind of stuff that's out there. I'm more interested in the personal individual, the male, in relation to the world, not at pointing to the world where the male is invisible. Or the individual is invisible. Global citizen. Dude, get a girlfriend. I don't know if you're talking to me. JW, are you starting to see an overlap between MGTOW and incels? I feel like I can't even tell the difference, and that a lot of men are using MGTOW as a cover-up for failing women's crap tests. Perhaps, yeah. I used to be more comfortable years ago being labelled MGTOW because there was a lot more intellect and self-reflection. I don't know what MGTOW is these days. Honestly, I don't know. It resembles more PUA to me, more game. It really does. I do respect, and I can talk to guys that still appreciate the old school style. But yeah, most of it is game based, PUA based, and those things have their merit in terms of seeing things, but they're very much a one trick pony, and a lot of the channels you can actually see they just kind of recycle the same sort of thing. Oh, look at how stupid this woman is today in this article. Oh, look at, can you believe what women do? Yeah. What do you think about it, buddy? Have you got any thoughts about it? Yeah, these women are stupid. Avoid them. Thanks, man. Steven says, I have 3 lesbian couples in my neighborhood. They all push small dogs in strollers. Yeah, I find that weird. Yeah, I kind of get that you love your pet and you sort of there's this vulnerability of letting yourself go the way you would a child, but to literally dress it up, talk to it, proudly tell people, no, it's my baby, and start pushing it in a stroller and so forth. Yeah. Real name's not given. When you see a picture of a couple, have you seen the look, a half-hearted smile of a husband, no one's home, and he would rather not be in the photo taken? Yeah, I've seen that photo. Well, at least those guys are aware. I'm thinking back to myself. I didn't have that look in many of my photos, but maybe I was naive because I wanted the relationship to be something more than what it was, or at that point I was content and happy. But I've seen that photo a fair bit. Hey Joe 212 says, in my 40s, was married, took a year off after getting divorced. I definitely feel dating is dead also. Marriage, but this is very freeing and I am excited about the future as a man. Oh, good for you, man. Yeah, I think the trend is hooking up, relationships, and all the things that relationships lead to, marriage, kids and all. I mean, kids can still come out of this culture, but I think that's becoming very old-fashioned until structurally society changes. Not that we should wait around for it to change, but just given what's out there, what I see. Okay, let's go down. Lucid Dreaming Tower. A question for Human. What do you think about all these OnlyFans girls showing their asses? In the future, they will starve, attention taken away by younger models. They will take antidepressants as hell. Yeah. Youth can be brash, but there used to be sort of more, when you had values of parents passed on and baked into children from a young age. Don't do this, don't do that. There was discipline. It would get baked in enough that it would become more and more of a reflex that you'd really need to overcome to do anything bad like these women are doing now. They're not thinking about tomorrow. So, yeah, these last couple of generations have produced this. I'm not sort of taking away from the responsibility, or they should be thinking, but I mean, what was it, Mia Khalifa? All of a sudden she's come back now. She's doing the same thing that she was denouncing a year ago. When survival comes into play, women resort to their one ace up their sleeve, which is their bodies, which is unfortunate. You've got people like Elon Musk shooting for the stars, and then what's the female on the throne? Kim Kardashian and women doing OnlyFans. Well done, feminism. Dunstan asks, when did things change? What year did dating die? Me and my friends have only had hookups. We've never dated. Yeah, there you go. See? And I'm assuming you're in your 20s, Dunstan. It's fairly common. I'm saying, I'm actually starting to think, I'm in my late 40s. The people in their 40s are the last. In their 30s, I think they romantically want it to be so. That I don't think they've experienced it as much or as commonly as I have when I grew up. And anything below that, I think around 30s, it's kind of like just dissipated. Everything below that. Dating has become pointless. Yeah. What was the comment? I just wanted to put up another comment by Postim. He goes, as you graduate into becoming a dinosaur, this is getting older, you can identify, see, and feel how life's events and situations often repeat themselves. Every great honeymoon phase, every post-honeymoon period crash, every new let's move in together idea, every where is the relationship going talk, every I miss my period worry, every I'm feeling bored in this relationship talk, every he's just a friend reassurance, every I'm not feeling happy talk, etc., etc. It's akin to watching Star Wars over and over again and being able to recite all the lines and knowing all the scenes. Yeah, when people say, try again, just bad luck, it is literally like watching the same movie, being able to recite the lines and knowing you don't need to watch more than 5 minutes of the movie now as you go on. This is what happens with experience. You can turn it off because you've seen this movie. You can recite the lines. You can predict every word that's going to be said. But yeah, this is another one by Scott. An old expression about marriage: you don't keep running after you've caught the bus. Yeah, so I think I'm going to include in the upcoming video I'm going to make about sort of is dating dead, where there was a really astute comment which said the only people who date these days, as far as you can generally see, are boomers and Christians. And from what I hear, guys online, guys and girls, empirically in my own life, people you talk to, in their 20s especially, at the prime age of dating, a lot of them haven't had relationships. I'd say in terms of what I would consider a relationship, which would be, let me be charitable, more than 6 months, but I would pretty much say it would be at least a year. Nah. Approaching zero. I'm amazed when they say, yeah, I've been in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for like 3 to 4 months. I say, that's not a relationship. You've just been dating somebody. Now even dating's going away. Now it's just hooking up. You don't date. It's the FOMO of like a candy store on your phone of people you can have no responsibility with, and you can just and dump, and that's it. Yeah, and Pound Dog says, dating has become pointless for me. A waste of time, money, and energy that could be channeled into other areas of my life. Exactly. This whole spinning plates paradigm that most of the manosphere is concentrating on, that the biggest channels are concentrating on, games, spinning plates, financial success. It's all focused around women. Most people, like if you took women out of the equation, most guys wouldn't work as hard or pursue money as much as they wanted to. They might pursue success in a field that they find interesting, and money might be a result, perhaps. But this whole thing, they circle around that spinning plates as though that's freedom. Yeah, really. All your time you're just spinning plates. Yeah, you're really free. You can't let those plates drop. John says, MGTOW is individualistic in nature. Yep, it used to be. It's not that much anymore, though. While society seems to be shifting towards more collectivist attitude, which is what MGTOW has shifted towards, I think. What, if any, clashes do you foresee between these opposing attitudes? Unless you don't have a good individualistic center and sense of yourself, you're going to get suffocated by the mob. Delta Dan, thank you very much for the super chat. His question is, this is for your beverage of choice. Thank you. The point of dating is long-term relationships, marriage, children. Yep. I've always thought that dating is towards relationships for long-term. If that is not an option, then it is simply a waste of time, money, effort in 2020. Yeah, I would agree with you. Most of the dating pool's minds aren't calibrated for long-term anymore, and as a result, not for stability, yet they crave it. You know, if a woman has it in her that she wants kids one day, and within that craving is the necessity to have stability, for that time to have those children, hookup culture doesn't allow for it. Men are always going to leave. So what's going to happen? Women are always going to be married to the state. They don't know anything else except for hookup culture, but they crave the stability of having kids and enough time to have them. The only way to do it is with the state, because we've been trained in this mode of being together, which is nothing begins. Everything's either a first date or just a hookup. Like, it never goes anywhere. I mean, you just need to watch that recent video by Adina that she talks about her freedom. Women are so worried about freedom, but they don't want any responsibility, and they use this word salad spirituality to excuse behavior. I feel my energy, my source, my love, universal power, blah, 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 freedom. It's just all very vague. And who's going to pick up the pieces? The government, and as a result, society, us. Edison, does human answer the monk mode question? I missed a chunk of the stream. I'm not sure. I think I mentioned monk. I don't know what question it was though, sorry. MNK, my dog and my PC are two of my greatest loves. Pound Dog 77. Dating has changed so much since 2017 when I was freshly divorced. Yeah, things move very quickly with technology, and technology is the funnel through which we actually relate now. I mean, look now, in lockdown, the only way you can relate to people is through technology, through your phone. And dating is is the primary method by which people sort of get together, socialize, not just general social media, but the sort of sexual part of it, the hooking up. Um, I remember I was dating when dating sites on the internet just came in, and no one talked about them. They were like going to a porn site. When you got together with somebody, Freudian slip, it would be common for people to say, no, we won't tell people we met on a dating site because it seems really shameful. You'd make up a story. Now it's people are surprised if you actually cold approach someone and you actually met by just saying hello to somebody and asking them out or asking for their number. Some questions, guys, I've answered in other streams. They're sort of similar ones, or I don't have much of an opinion, so I'm not avoiding them. Pete says, do you think tech is evil? No. I'm not a fan of all the kind of simp, beta, alpha terminology. Too convenient. In the same way people say, oh, they're a narcissist. Too convenient and quick a categorization to be able to actually understand anyone or anything. If that person in particular matters, if you're dealing with an individual. Alpha Dog says, human, I still need to watch the movie Her. Yeah, it's a good one. I'd recommend it. It says a lot about society moving forward and where we are. A lot of it we're already there. Any books or videos you'd recommend for self-actualization? Yeah, watch the movie for self-actualization. 2 movies, Peaceful Warrior and also Revolver. That's probably my favorite for self-actualization. Lucid Dreams, human. Elon Musk rewarded Johnny Depp with an invitation of a beating in an MMA fight because he denounced Amber Heard's abuse. What's your thoughts on the case? I don't know anything about that. Sorry. That kind of tabloid stuff. What someone said, whatever, their personal life. Unless it's kind of instructional about sort of generally choices men and women make that sort of could be in our lives. But if that's true, Elon Musk challenging Johnny Depp to an MMA fight because he denounced Amber Heard's abuse. If I'm interpreting that correctly, I don't know. Ooh, 305 viewers. Welcome, everyone. Transor asks, do you agree with Quasimandias when he said that we need relationships and we're lost or empty without them, or in some way BSing ourselves? Did he say that? Human beings function better in healthy relationships, I can tell you that. And the healthy thing is, if there's no healthy relationships, or from what I gather from Quads, is that if there's no healthy relating, you don't relate. So is that the environment? But I don't want to speak for Quasimandias, but that's what I take from it. I hope that was sufficient pants. Edison says, I don't understand the incel label. If sex means so much to you, lower your standards or hire somebody. It's not involuntary. Yeah. Rump says, I've seen a lot of women pushing dogs in strollers. This must be a US thing. I don't really see much of it here. I mean, we're fairly gynocentric here in Melbourne, Australia, but Global Citizen, thank you for the super chat. He said, she can't love like that. Oh, one of my older videos, masterpiece. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a few years ago. Rum says, my neighbour has a poodle she carts around. I wonder if there's a correlation between dog breed and woman. And like the higher the correlation, like if you get a woman with a fancy poodle in a dog stroller and she's Botoxed up, pretty much can judge a book by its cover, you know? Couldn't you? Jerry says something interesting. Most women younger than 30 hate children and despise them if they have them. They see them as possessions, much like they see men. Yeah, you don't hear many women talking positively about children. Even personally, when I talk to them, they're blasé, or they literally are kind of like, nah, I hate children. I don't want them in my life. They'll ruin my life. Very different to my generation and prior. It's exactly the opposite. Web Palette Warrior, thanks for the response to my question on the last video. No problem. Remember, highlight your questions, guys, if you want me to read them. There's a lot here. I'm just trying to get through them. So visually, if I can see something stand out, more chance of me answering it. So I'm not ignoring some of your questions. Finch says, Paul Elam has spoken about the necessity of dealing with your relationship with your mother. Male mother need, yes. Especially these days where that umbilical cord was typically severed with male rituals, male elders, mentoring, typically at puberty. Doesn't happen. She remains a goddess, which I think is a lot of men's problems today. She's embedded as a goddess that it's very hard to speak down to or to say no to. How do you say no to a god? S. Yeah, tigers and down says Elon Musk is a simp, but he's still advancing the human race more than anyone right now. Yeah, pretty much. He is advancing, or at least he's on the podium. He's seen as advancing it. Which yeah, I'm a fan of him generally. That guy has a lot of will. How long have we been going for? Just over an hour. Oh, big jump. Okay. Global Citizen, thank you for the super chat. His question is, women want a man with a good future. Men want a woman with a good past. Very nice. Very nice. I like that saying. Generally, I'd say because men show the fruits of their past. Like if you had a good past, it typically kind of shows in your future. If you were disciplined, the things you have to show for yourself as a man will be the fruits of your past. With a woman, she can sort of just be that Groundhog Day going forward and having done nothing. Again, not all women, but something to be aware of. But yeah, a good saying to keep in mind. Human does look like a boomer. It's because I am, I think. What's a boomer? What year? I always keep forgetting. I think it's like 1969 to, what is it? 80 something? 82? I think I am a Gen X. I think. Yep. Question. Subliminal. What do you think about these male creators advocating for and teaching ways to find and discern the few high quality women in order to garner high quality relationships and partnerships? Futile. This is the thing. Some of them have great insight into male and female nature that makes sense and I would agree with. They get you in the door, and then everything, the exercise of actually doing it in life, is all centered around pleasing her. And all your interests and drives is saying yes to her in ways where, I don't know, either you're not completely embarrassed about, or the fact that you know female nature is, yeah, I'll do everything you want, but I know what you're about, sweetheart. For me, it's, if it's not a mutual fair relationship where you both have your eyes open, you communicate, and you're not being taken advantage of, then what's the point? I don't like the idea of gaming in perpetuity your partner. I think a lot of the Manosphere PUA style game channels, they deal with a lot of reality, but it's directed towards the female as a prize, rather than directed towards self-understanding, and then you'll get the things in life you want from that basis. Delta Dan says, if your woman is banging someone else, you are a cuck by definition. If you know about it and you tolerate it, yeah. But if a woman's just sort of cheating on you and you didn't know, I wouldn't say that's a definition of a cuck. Armored Ghost, do you think society lacks good mechanisms for same-minded people to connect? Yes. They're censoring intellect and discussion that's not sort of PC. So yeah, they only now allow connection. The ease of that connection is how politically correct you speak and you are, and the content you produce and what you put out there. If you're saying, hang on a minute, I think this is wrong, and it doesn't sort of cater to the gynocentric party line out there, then it's hard to connect. Basically, you're forced to connect in a way, even if you don't agree with it. Winston? Jerry says, Rome will keep repeating unless human nature is restricted and modified. Yeah. History shows you give people too much freedom, they're lazy with its responsibility. Anonymous says, what are some things or mindsets young bachelors can look forward to in their later years? That's a good question. I have no idea, man. No idea. I can say it's going to be interesting because I'm past it, but for them, it's going to be really challenging, I think. Herman, thank you for the super chat. His comment or question is, I'm unable to maintain close camaraderie with those that willfully choose the traditional life, including my closest brethren. The solitary life suits me just fine. Integrity within oneself overall. Yep. I've noticed this too. When I get together with my high school buddies, the majority of them are married with children. We talk about stuff we can both connect with, sports, the world, politics on a low level as much as I can, so I'm not that interested. But I don't talk to them about philosophy, any of this stuff. There's no point. So you find some sort of chit-chat middle ground. But unfortunately, imagine that. Like, I get together with my high school buddies, which, they'll always be my friends, and I enjoy catching up with them. We have a laugh. But it's not a meaningful place where I would be with them 24/7. Imagine you're with a woman that you have to sort of accommodate that sort of very base level chit chat just to sort of enjoy that time. It's different when you catch up with your friends as a refreshing change for a few hours. But having to live there and that's not you, that's a very different thing. How many guys find themselves in that situation, whether it's with a job or with a female? Pretending to love that environment. Oof. Lucid Dreams. Have you read Steppenwolf of Hermann Hesse? No, they're on my to-do list. Especially Steppenwolf. Yep, hit the like, guys. Hit the like button. Armored Ghost says something interesting. Hey, Vention, how are you, man? Hope you're recovering. Go visit his channel and give him some love. I think he's just had an operation. So speedy recovery, man. I hope it can be and will be. Armored Ghost says relationships are about security first and foremost. Yes. Look at your family. Look at your friends. Look at that relationship. Look at the relationship with things you love doing. The security, waking up and looking forward to them. Contrast that with relationships with women today compared to our grandparents. Still the same challenges in regards to male and female nature, but just look at, it's quite easy to see why people aren't having relationships, or the degree to which they will listen to their biology is like a hookup and then get away from me. I don't want to deal with anything more. There's nothing there for me. When society is more abundant, people start to crave fun more than important long-term things. Exactly. If you can, it's like a buffet where instead of saying, okay, this is my meal and I'll take it away to my table, you kind of go, you take a bite out of it, throw it away, take a bite, throw it away. You're just wasteful. You're a rich, fat, spoilt kid. And over the horizon, you don't see that you're going to get diabetes. You don't see that there aren't many people over 50 who are alive who have type 2 diabetes. I'm just using it as an example. But in terms of like being sensible with how you're living, yeah, you can sort of do something for a small pocket of time, but then excess, like all these fitness channels, it's not rocket science. Healthy diet, exercise. Same with how men and women interact. It's not rocket science. you know, feminism and so forth are trying to kind of go, no, let's come up with a different script and a different paradigm. No, we don't change. The hardware doesn't change. I don't care what software you try and filter through us. It's not going to work very well in general. You'll have outliers where they can accommodate it, given their temperament, but no. Ted says, have you seen Spetsnaz's newer video, Man, and what did you think? Yeah, is that, when did he upload that? Is that one he uploaded in the last day? Because I've watched the last, whatever, or all of his ones before the last couple of days. The last one I watched, I think, was him reciting Bukowski. So if there's another one, I haven't watched it yet. Luke says, Vention is one of the best MGTOW. Yeah. He is. He's never hateful. He's just showing himself going his own way. I can't understand people who are negative towards Vention. He's always kind of been the same cool guy. He looks like a guy you could hang out with. And he's always got a good attitude about life. Alpha Dog says, Human, I know you don't follow politics, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the US presidential debate if you did follow them. Sorry, man. Don't care. I don't mean to be rude, but it doesn't interest me. Andy says, I'm a farmer and artist. I have pursued a counterculture life and I feel greatly fulfilled, but I have very little financial capital. Is happiness a currency in your eyes? Yes. Time and happiness. Time and happiness, gentlemen. Time and happiness that you can live with, that you can sleep well with. Time and happiness. It is a big currency. For most men, if they really look at it, time especially, how they spend their time. If you spend all your time grinding away for some sort of, something over the horizon that you hope to get, never do, whether it's work or with a woman, which usually sometimes becomes work anyway. You got to cut your losses at some point if it's not working in your favor. We're not here for very long, gentlemen. Surround yourself with good people and spend your time well. I found that the more you can boil it down to simple things like that, one of my videos in recent past, what can you live with? Sometimes asking really simple questions that can encapsulate various scenarios is a really nice clarifier. We can sort of micromanage heaps of different complex philosophies about women and nature and stoicism and biology and so forth and the future and politics and projections and etc., but it can actually weigh on you. It's too much complexity to make sense of anything. But sometimes just a personal thing is like, okay, who am I? What can I live with? Who can I trust? Do I love this person? Do I trust them? It can bring you face to face with reality. Sometimes these, like a lot of things we focus on, are a convenient distraction from addressing yourself and the important, simple things in your life. This is the one thing that doesn't interest me about a lot of the manosphere channels that are just interested in game and women, is that they're never really focusing on you going forward, thinking forward. It's always about what to avoid and how stupid other people are compared to you. All right, guys. Fight Up Rabbit, human, have you ever noticed that women cannot think in the abstract? Yeah, I haven't met many women that can, but I don't think they're really built for it. Men are forced to think in the abstract much more because of, up until recently, how men and women have related. We go out into the world, so we have to abstractly understand things that aren't, human beings. Question from Tequila Sunrise. Do you think that a child is a means to an end for a woman? Primarily, yes, but for all of us, really, I think that's why we're here. Even that I don't want children, this is why I'm here from a biological level. Fight Up Rabbit, human, could it be that women live in a present in present and cannot conceptualize the past or future because of their emotions, and men stay logical for survival? We have to be responsible for the future. I said in my Man Alone video that we have a great sense of there's nothing beyond us. If we don't be responsible, learning from our past, informing the present, and then being responsible for the future, who else is going to do it? Seriously, tell me, who else? Whereas a lot of women can kind of rely on plan B, which used to be their plan, which is men, which used to be their plan A in past generations. I don't know, like people are getting used to insecurity, which you could say spiritually is like, it's great. People are getting used to change, but it's not in a healthy way because we're not being responsible for each other in the future. We're taking what we can get and we don't care about tomorrow. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. Yeah, sure, I don't know what the world's going to be like in 5 or 10 years, but not worrying about what your life might be like tomorrow, that's a shame. Question for Human by Lucid Dream MGTOW. Why we didn't learn from the fall of Rome cause of feminism? Why are we as a collective keep making the same mistakes again? Is it that it can't be helped? Human beings, unfortunately, their nature is they don't change unless pain occurs. People say a lot of romantic stuff like, well, if I had this, I'd do this. Well, you just wait, I'm starting my diet on Monday. People don't. People are lazy. Very few people have the will from a position of comfort to do something that requires effort. If you're relaxed, if you won the lottery, what would make you work and try and strive for things where ostensibly in your mind you feel like you've arrived? You've won the lottery in life. Human beings like the idea of freedom, but they don't want to lead themselves. They still like to be led because generally they're lazy. Women like the idea of freedom, but they don't want to lead generally in their lives. They like being taken care of. You can't ignore your nature. That's why, despite, say, for instance, like I've got a peculiar wiring where I've never been interested in children, I still have simple biological wiring as a male, like in terms of relating to women and what is correct, what works. You think in my position of not wanting kids, I would be this a-hole who would be pro hookup culture, would be pro a lot of the PUA sort of stuff in a very grounded sense because it'd make more sense with my life. But my hardware is male. Vention says the standards change depending on who you ask. I'm either a late boomer or early Gen X. So I think I'm Gen X then. I'm 49. Wet Palette Warrior. I'm a history buff. I'm seeing a lot of recent documentaries have women written in to be more prominent than they actually were. Any thoughts? Yeah, I think there's a lot of BS. And it's not just, say you're charitable and saying, well, the victors write the books. So because men tended to always just come out ahead, they wrote history in a way that women didn't do anything. But you just kind of see, like, not just in my life, when I talk to grandparents and so forth, and you look at history, it all matches up where women don't, as individuals, strive and obsessively do something as abstract as, an adventure, or, sail over the horizon, or, traverse countries and sort of advance civilization, try and send rockets into space and invent flight and things like that. It's always men that sort of push it to those levels where society can go forward. The rewriting of history, it's a sleazy thing that's happening today. It's almost like we can't talk about the past because it's patriarchal, but we can talk about the past if we fictionally rewrite how we interpret it. And that's the way we're going to see the past now. We was kings, women were the leaders. Yeah, you look at much of the documentaries, you look on Netflix and so forth, they're all very left-leaning. Yesterday's documentarian would be disappointed with what's on offer today. Yep, Brad says, I'm a Gen X. Okay, I trust you, Brad. Sounds right. Andy asks, most women seem okay with polyamorous relationships now. It's like the value of men that has dropped so low, women can just gather a few and juggle them. Yeah. The environment's just even less and less attractive. Even if you're going to say you're going to date, given the environment, it's not just that it's harder, it's the will to try given the environment. That's why bother? What are you going to get out of it? Even if you win that prize of the one, say the normalization of the standard of yesterday was a lot, kind of a bit more clearer. Like, you get a particular individual, but in the middle of the bell curve, she'd generally be this kind of person that you'd probably get. It wouldn't be that many surprises other than the individual aspect of her. But it's not just the individual now that's like a roll of the dice. It's also, you don't know what you're going to get. Every woman is kind of going in blind and saying, the only thing I know is that she's female. And even these days, sometimes you get back to your room and it's kind of like, oh, are you a male? Are you a female? I didn't know what you were. Very, very challenging these days. I'm glad I'm past most of it. Question is, human, are you allowed to travel outside of Australia? No, not at the moment. Still locked down. Here's an interesting one. Real name's not given. Sisyphus was forced to push a rock uphill for eternity. What if that rock was called dating? Any thoughts? That's a good analogy, actually. That's a very good analogy these days. Dating is resembling Sisyphus. Never used to that degree before, from what I see, what I lived and what I heard from the elders in my life. Dirk Kirby asks, a few chats back you emphasized finding people you can really connect with, either in person or online. We're online. I'm over 50, and most most online seem in their 20s. Comment section under my videos, there's a fair few really cool middle-aged and older guys, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that that's sort of fostering there. And I'd say maybe when I'm on my Discord, but it is hard. It is hard. It's basically kind of exploring through the wilderness with the machete and seeing what you find. Because it's occupied by the youth. Look, it's a reason I started my YouTube channel. It's a reason I started pushing this stuff forward. I wanted to be able to find guys I could talk to. Just keep trying, man. I'm sorry, it sounds glib. It's not me being dismissive, but it was hard for me. You look at a lot of my videos over the last few years, just me pushing to be kind of more honest and have more honest conversations. And through that, I started to find people. Yeah, Delta Dan says, Dunstan, I don't even have friends. At least we're all here, though. Okay, come on. Questions. Here we go. Thanks for the super chat. Is Nows. His comment is, hi human, I loved your interview with TFM. Keep it up. And thanks for what you do here on the Manosphere. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Lucid Dream question. Why we didn't learn from the fall of Rome? Yeah, I think I've answered that question. Human, what country do you live in? Australia. Lee says, as for the question of are all women like that, imagine someone telling you to play Russian roulette with the argument that not all the sockets have a bullet in them. Fair point. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, guys. Yeah, Delta Dan says, human, who actually wants to talk to a person who can't even play catch in a conversation? Bernard, is it time and happiness or time and contentment? Yeah, contentment, okay. I just sort of, off the top of my head, contentment leads to happiness, I think. You're right. Time and contentment. Alpha Dog. Was wondering if there was something that could help me sleep. That's a broad question. It could be any number of things. I can only tell you what helps me, but what helps me is particular to me. And I don't really think I have sleeping problems. My sleeping patterns aren't great. I need to improve them. I stay up too late most times. I'm a night owl. Try not to look at a screen, at least for the last half an hour or so. What I do generally is I have a shower just before bed, so I get off the computer. By the time I have a shower, relax a little bit. That sort of lowers all those senses. But, you know, it's very individual. I can't offer a one-size-fits-all solution. But one thing I would say is, for me, I don't eat before bed. I toss and turn all night, and I don't look at a screen for at least half an hour, if not more, before bed. Read a book before bed instead of looking at a screen. That helps. Tequila Sunrise question: would you say that we are repeating history because we moved from religious societies which had an ample amount of information about women to a tech one, and now we are collecting data? That's a very, very good point. I think there's a lot of merit in that statement. Nice perspective. Nice perspective. Okay, let me go down. Questions. All right, let's start wrapping this up, guys. It's already an hour and a half. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. If there aren't any more questions. Vention says, Human, I made my channel back in 2012 because all the young MGTOW were so angry. I wanted to show what life can be like 10 years down the road, good and bad. Yeah. I think that's the appeal of you, and I enjoyed watching people like Warhorse as well. Just got guys talking about the actual going, showing the going. All it is today is just a lot of guys breaking out of Shawshank. That energy of don't tell me what to do, I'm free. But staying there because the energy feels so good. Dunstan, I'm showing this stream to a chick right now. Her eyes are bugging out. LOL. She's like, what is this? A woman haters club. Anytime men basically talk like men, or just talk in terms of reality and the way we talk to our friends, when it's about women specifically, like we'll talk about reality, sports, politics, just a very much what it is, and women won't care. When we talk in the same way about them, it's like, oh, you hate women. Yeah, I don't. I don't hate sports. I don't hate politics. I don't hate science. I don't hate animals. That's women's response. If you kind of say that women can be bad too, and this is how women act, it's like, oh, do you hate women? That's a very low level shaming. OTR, Ogre and Corgi, Human, do you think that relationships had more to do with the factor of resource limitations and therefore negotiation was necessary between men and women? Personally, I think government funding has made men less necessary. I agree. But it's also then had men now have to be useful and find use in and of themselves, perhaps, introspect. So now it's a different time for men to sort of look at themselves, which they're not used to doing. We're always used to looking out at society, providing value for others, never for ourselves. So maybe the change is good in a lot of ways in terms of us looking inward. Dunstan, are you going to have any subscribers calling during these streams in the future? If I work out how to do it, maybe, but then again, I want to be able to sort of answer questions and fly through them. If I'm going to do that, I'll probably do it on my Discord channel. I've actually already set up. There's a couple of rooms I've set up specifically for that, so people with microphones can kind of come in. and one person can speak at a time. Whereas with this is very quick, me answering questions and getting through a lot of questions, giving more people value for time in a shorter period of time. Whereas if I talk to someone, I'm not going to be rude and be dismissive. So you're going to get less people in. And depending on the question that people ask, you might get people that aren't interested in a particular question, so they'll just switch off. Whereas this is kind of quick. And if you didn't like the previous question, I'll probably be through it fairly easy. So if I do more of a call-in thing, it'll probably be through my Discord channel, not here. Otia Ogre says, do people actually live in Tasmania? That's hilarious. Tasmania is actually beautiful. I wouldn't mind retiring there. Mutant Carrot says, I don't hate sharks, but I'm not going to swim with them either. Yep. Don't over-romanticize what women are as well. If you have your boundaries, they're not sharks. They're just women. If you subconsciously feel differently, but you're pretending not to, or you haven't come to terms with it, they are sharks because of how you're relating to them as well. So there's that aspect too. David says, if you caught feelings with a red flag female, would you just remove yourself from the situation altogether? Yes, but also, like, the more you know this stuff, the more you know yourself. The more you like yourself in your own life, and you've got good friends, and you relate with values, and you're not being led by feelings. You're not being led by hormones or, ooh, bright light. The media tells me to buy this car, so I'll buy this car. But you actually have values by which you direct yourself. Then the question is, would you catch feelings with a red flag woman? The red flags would come up, and you wouldn't even get to the point of catching feelings. If you're the kind of guy that catches feelings straight away, love at first sight, I would say that says a lot about you, and you need to maybe understand why you impulsively love without any discernment, without sort of analyzing, giving time, seeing if the real person reveals themselves and so forth. Would you actually catch feelings with a red flag female? My first instinct is like it wouldn't. The older I get, the more experience I get, the better I treat myself, and the more I know, the less chance that happens. So the less chance I worry about it, if that kind of makes sense. All right, guys, I think that'll do it. Sorry for the questions I missed. I did my best to go down the list. We had about 300 today, which is a hell of a lot. So twice as much as usual. I don't know why, but I'm glad you all dropped in. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you very soon. Have a good day, guys. Catch you later. Bye.